Okay, originally I was going to hide this as a secret plan for one of my future master games, but I ended up realizing that this particular weapon is nowhere near as nowhere near as fragile as I thought. There have been a couple of online forum posts saying that, oh, this gambit is objectively dubious, oh, it's not even playable, oh, don't bother playing it, you're just gonna lose in a few moves, and it's just gonna be a bloodbath, and so many stupid things without even bothering to check the engine. The truth is, the engine says this gambit is actually pretty playable. That's the good news. So this gambit is actually pretty playable. It's not like it's not like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you're trying to get a knockout punch in a few moves, but it doesn't work because it's just traps and what have you. It's not one of those things. It is pretty playable. The bad news is when the engine says it's pretty playable, that means you're in it for a really, really long game. Yeah, you're not gonna get a miniature ass of this one. It's very much in the style of Benko. Like you're in it for a long-term compensation rather than a quick knockout punch. You're not gonna get a quick knockout punch out of this. You're just gonna get a really long game. You're in it for the long haul, and you're going to have a rather sound. That's the thing. This gambit is pretty sound. It's not dubious at all. But because it's not dubious, you're in for a really long game. Yeah. So what's the gambit we're talking about? We're talking about this gambit. Rotary-Albany Gambit. Yeah, it's called Rotary-Albany Gambit. I mean, the most likely move is bishop takes c6, d takes c6, castles kingside, and you're supposed to defend with f6, right? But engine says the best move is c3. But this is where the fun really begins, because regardless of what you play, like the best move is actually this according to the engine. Yeah, a6 is best. But even then, oh, it was 0.96. Okay, this is still roughly +1 regardless of what you play. Okay, even if you play the recommended move that I'm going to show you, even if you play the recommended move that I show you. Oh, please. Even if you play the recommended move I show you, it's still gonna be +1 for white regardless. So don't worry about it. Like even though it's +1, the only moves that are winning for white are they're very unnatural moves. If you see them playing it, you know they're cheating anyway. So unless they're cheating, you're pretty much guaranteed the win here. Okay? So the move I recommend is f5. This is the beginning of another gambit in the subsection of Rotary-Albany Gambit. It's called Wintermint Attack. And this fullback piece is f5. Yeah, this is the Wintermint Attack. And the most likely move here, bishop takes c6, and you take back with this pawn right here. Your pawn structure is a little messed up, so when you play this, we're very much in the style of the Laughing Gambit here. The problem you're gonna run into is that the next natural move is this. And you need to remember that you don't play queen to f6 here. Normally you do, but that's when you're playing Lapping Gambit, and in this case, like this move has been played, this move has been played, this move has been played. Like, in this case, queen to f6 is not going to work. So what you play instead is knight to f6. Castle's kingside, c5, kick the knight, and then you're going to try to like get these other pieces off the board, particularly these 3 pieces. You have to get them out of the way first. Knight to e6. Oh, it looks like a fork. It looks like a fork. Just trade it off. You just trade off that bishop. Just get it out of the way early. Just get it out of the way. And now you only have the pawn there. And there is a way to deal with this pawn. We will look at it in a little bit. Queen to d3. Just put it in a safe square. Oh, come on. Put it in a safe square. Rook e1. Bishop to d6. Rook e3. He's trying to go for this queen. But you have another safe square here. You attack this, you go to this square first, you put the queen there first, because you're aiming at the rook and the knight. You were threatening a fork. But it's just there to put the pressure on. You're not actually going to take either of those pieces because the queen is guarding this and then the other rook is guarding that. So you just slide out of the way. D3, and you just castle. Just castle. E7, rook to f7. You don't have to worry about the queen promoting, because you can take back with the rook. Queen e2, rook to bishop to f4, sorry. Rook to h3, bishop takes c1. This right here, the best move is something else. And if they play the best move, you just win the rook for free. You just win the rook for free. So if the rook has to move, if you're playing a natural like human, if he's not doing that, you know they're cheating, and you just win the bishop for free. And his only best move is to bring the knight here. But you win that for free as well. So you've just taken like a bishop and a knight for free. And then queen takes, knight g4, threatening the queen with c4, but you just tuck with queen d4, rook to f1, rook ef8. And then you just sacrifice that rook. Just sacrifice that rook. And he takes. Queen to e1, rook to rook to e2 check. Checks with the queen, so they can't take the rook yet. King to f1, rook takes e1 check. You've just won the queen, but you sacrifice that rook. And then you check here. The knight is guarding the queen, so the king can't take. King d1, knight to e3. And you have that to checkmate the king right there. This is actually pretty few moves compared to what you normally see in this particular opening. And what we're going to show you now is another game that we're analyzing, where it does go to a bit of a longer game. No, it doesn't. It's this time it is a miniature. Normally you don't get a miniature. It's actually a pretty long game that you're going to expect. It devolves into a normal game of chess pretty quickly. But anyway, e4, e5, knight. Oh, is this? Oh, right. Yeah, you gotta flip the bar. Knight to f3, knight c6, bishop b5, b6, b6 again. Normal move, bishop takes c6, d takes c6, castles kingside f6, d4, e takes d4, e5, knight to e7, queen takes d4, queen takes d4, knight takes d4, f takes e5. So you just trade off the queens pretty early in like what's considered like the main line. Knight to f3, e4. You just kick the knight again. Knight to g5. Bishop to f5. I don't know what that's doing. Like knight to c3, h6. Alright, it got the pawn. Right. h6. Knight g takes e4. Just trade. Oh, no you don't. Knight to d5. Knight takes d5. C takes d5. Knight to c3. Castle queenside. Knight to b5. Bishop takes c2. Knight to d4. Bishop a4. Knight e6. Rook e8. Knight takes f8. Rook h takes f8. b3. Bishop b5. Rook d1. c5. a4. Bishop c6. And like it does go into a pretty straightforward endgame. It's a bishop and rook and pawn endgame pretty much. But like you're up a whole pawn. And like you're taking up a lot of space and like what does it say? Yeah, again it does. This is not a miniature. Like you do. Wait, no, this was not a real game. Yeah, minus 2.47. So you're clearly winning if you play this. But like it's going to be a tough endgame, but you're clearly winning here. So it's like very, very viable. But good luck fighting in the endgame. Yeah, have fun.